where did your passion for wine come into play, and how did you go about actually becoming an entrepreneur in the space?
Yeah. So I worked in the wine and spirits industry since 2001. Started back with Courvoisier, doing the past Courvoisier days at D-Rush, which was Russell Simmons' agency. So we did all the street promotions in Atlanta. From there, moved over to Moet Hennessy. At the time, it was just Moet and Hennessy as the ambassador in Atlanta. And that was during the time when the clubs in the city was on fire, when the music industry was hot down there, right? So it was like
BMF days.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it was like the closest thing to being in the music industry without being in it. Because listen, we've been throwing all the parties, the liquor companies were sponsoring all the parties. And I just fell in love with like that lifestyle. Like it was business, but it was still a lot of fun. So I did that, then moved to Miami with them. And once I got to Miami is when the champagne world took over. So it was like, I worked on Clicquot, I worked on Moet, I worked on Dom Perignon. And I was like, oh, this is the move. This is my lane. Left there and then did a stint at Ace of Spades for 3 years.
Might have heard
Latin
of it.
America, yeah, you might have heard of that. Latin America, the Caribbean, Southeast United States, and duty free. And I was just like, yo, I could just do this. Working over there with that guy and that team, it was so entrepreneurial and it was so breaking the convention of the wine and spirits industry that it motivated me to want to do my own thing. And then just being in a chance encounter in the south of France and meeting the owner of a winery, talking shop with them and say, yo, we should do something. And that was the genesis of it all.
Yeah, that was like a fast forward version.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this place in south of France, yeah, Saint-Tropez. Right? Oh, this guy, yeah, Sean Carter. Right? So, I mean, how did you even get, I mean, obviously you said in early 2001, you start.
Yep.
And you're working with Russell Simmons and his brand, but how did you get to, because it's not even LVMH at the time, right?
It was an agency for Moet Hennessy called US Concept.
So who introduced you to them? How'd you get on board with them?
Yeah, so I mean, the job with Russell Simmons, it sounds glamorous at D-Rush, was literally me handing out drink tickets in the club. Like I was like the promotional guy sort of thing. And then that grew into me managing the promotional models underneath me. And I happened to be working I was doing like 6 jobs at that time. I was like working an internship at Hitco Music Publishing, working with a local events company called Steps. So I was just in the mix trying to figure out how I was going to get on. And I met a young lady who was the regional marketing person for Hennessy Cognac. And she was like, I like you, I want to give you an opportunity. And that's how that job came about.
So like what happens when you're in that space, the club knows what type of night it's going to be.
Yep.
Right? They'll say like, hey, we got Earn Your Leisure coming.
Yep.
We're going to need this many cases.
Dollars.
Because Earn Your Leisure's coming.
Yeah.
Right? So like you're doing that. How often is this, like 3 nights of the week? Like is this full-time what you're doing?
Yeah, at that point it was full-time. In the clubs in Atlanta at that time, every night of the week it was something to do, right? There was Mondays, there was Tuesdays. So the only night we probably really had off was like a Wednesday, per se. So it was 6 days a week in the streets at the clubs. But it was a rotation. It was the same ones every week. It was all about repetition to get in front of people. But yeah, it was intense.
Yeah, is it commission-based?
No, it was a salary.
Okay.
Salary. Yeah, it was a salary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, well, what sparked you to go from there to actually saying, I'm going to get up and running and have my own brand?
Listen, we all have had jobs where you felt like you could do things better, right? So that inspiration from being in a place that was super entrepreneurial, but it still wasn't mine, right? And you get reminded of that every now and then, no matter how hard you work. So I was like, I want to do my own thing. I want to build my own legacy in the wine and spirits industry. And this opportunity was that.
So what was the first step that you did to start the company?
Yeah, so I had to look at what the business proposition was, right? So knowing I had worked on Moet, and Moet Nectar Rose was the #1 selling rosé champagne in the world, and that consumer was 98% Black and Hispanic. And then knowing that the leading rosé still wine brand at the time was Whispering Angel, and there were no real contingency of Black consumers drinking that, I did the correlation. I was like, listen, if I can take 10% of the sparkling rosé consumer and 10% of the still rosé consumer and bring them together, then I have a business proposition.
So rosé, 98% of rosé wine drinkers are Black?
Moet Nectar and Pure Rosé, the one in the clear bottle. Yeah. The Moet Rosé.
But the Moet Rosé is my favorite. But
I was going to say, we drink it.
But that's champagne though.
That's champagne, right.
So when I think of rosé, I think of champagne.
Yeah.
This is wine.
This is wine. So rosé in general is just a varietal, right? It just means, it's made from rare wine grapes, whether it be still or sparkling. It's a different process of making it. There's sugar dosage, there's aging in barrels and stuff for the sparkling. And then for the still, it's pretty much just made without any oxidation to give you the bubbles.
So only Black people drink rosé? Moet Rosé?
I mean, listen, it's the yeah.
Yes.
Why is that? Because it's red.
No, it was the marketing. I mean, that was
They marketed it in the club.
Hip-hop,
in the club. Yeah,
The red. I'm gonna be honest with you. The red was a great. It comes red.
yeah. It comes red. The big thing about it was red in a clear bottle. So before that, most rosés were in a darker bottle. So
Because it lights up.
and you couldn't even-
and they put the light
underneath
underneath
it. You
it.
could see it. It was a show. It was
Before you
like a
couldn't even
thing.
see what's in the bottle.
Exactly.
So what's the what's the market share? Like how much money does that represent? If you could say 100% is done by black people, let's just say if it's 98%, how much money does Moet Rosé make?
I would probably say it's the third biggest value generator inside of Moet Hennessy USA because it's really a US based brand as well.
So it'd be like Hennessy is number one.
Hennessy number one, probably a tie between, and this is when I was there, probably a tie between Moet and Clicquot, and then Moet Imperial, the regular sparkling, and then that would be number 3. Yeah,
Not that white stuff.
not that white stuff.
Not that white stuff.
It's a huge business proposition.
And that was from a nightclub. That's just pretty much from the nightclub.
I mean, it was
culture.
in the beginning, it was nightclub culture, yeah. So it was primarily sold only in nightclubs, but now retail as well. But yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, retail. I'm glad you said that because then I was reading 2011, perfect time to be in Miami.
oh yeah, for
LeBron
sure.
has now said he's coming,
It's crazy.
and so how did you get the arena? So it was American Airlines. I know it's like FTX now.
Yes.
How'd you get American Airlines convince them to say, look, we need to have this inside of the arena because that wasn't something that you saw anywhere. And
No, it wasn't. And the first conversation was really about the championship celebration. So we was already in like
we winning.
September. We're going like let's prepare. And there was a rule that apparently Pat didn't let anybody talk about if they won. So that conversation quickly changed until let's talk about what we can do to bring like more of a social aspect to the basketball games. Because in Miami during that time, you went to the games because like that was the club. Like did you even watch the game? No, I was inside hide. So we wanted to see what could we do to promote at that time Moet and the white bottle Moet Ice to kind of all tie it in. So we convinced them that we should sell the champagne at the bars first. And they were like, all right, this is cool. This is going well. We like this. They like the vibe. Then we did some branded cups. And then next thing you know, we had our own pop-up bar in the concourse. And it was outselling every other like bar in the arena. So then we just decided, let's make this an official partnership. And once they won that year, it was game over.